If you want the Raiders to get Jayden Daniels, if you believe, even if it's a 1% chance, that the Raiders have an opportunity to get this quarterback right here, I want you to click that like button, because I guarantee you, after you get done watching this video, you're going to be like, there is definitely a better chance that Jayden ends up in silver and black. Raider Nation, what's going on? I'm Mitchell Renz, host of the Raiders Report, and today's show is sponsored by 8 Sleep. If you need to improve your sleep, all you got to do is go down to the comment in the description of today's show. Go to 8sleep.com/chatsports, $200 off the pod cover by 8 Sleep. So if you haven't been paying attention to what has been going on around the Raiders and Jayden Daniels and the Washington Commanders in the last 24 hours, boy, oh boy, do I got a show that's going to put a smile on your face, because coming up here on the Raiders Report, Jayden Daniels' agent gives me hope that there is a better chance that he ends up with the Las Vegas Raiders. And then a good friend of Adam Peters, the Commanders general manager, his friend also gives me hope that the Washington Commanders are not going to take the LSU quarterback. So here we go. Let's get into the latest here on Jayden, because yesterday, his agent responded to Mike Florio in a tweet that was regarding some of what the Commanders were doing for some of their draft practices, if you will. Florio bashed the Commanders for bringing in 4 quarterback prospects at once. If you don't know the whole story, essentially, Washington on Tuesday, and was it Tuesday? Yeah, it was Tuesday, ended up bringing in like 20-something prospects, but they also brought in 4 quarterback prospects at once. Ron Butler also had some interesting tweets himself. If you're like, Mitch, who the hell is Ron Butler? Well, Ron Butler is Jayden Daniels' agent. And you can say anything you want about GMs, head coaches, whatever. When you get an agent that starts to get active a week before the NFL draft, if you don't get a little bit excited about that, you need to check your freaking pulse. So I know when you look at this tweet, you might look at it and go, Mitch, I don't really see what's the big deal. So this is obviously a thinking face here from Ron Butler, and it says, Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk, bashes the Commanders for bringing in 4 quarterback prospects all at once rather than individually. Why would you dilute your ability to get maximum time and just the opportunity to evaluate? You're trying to evaluate 4 guys at once. So the thinking face there, maybe not that big of a deal. What I thought was interesting, though, is if you go to Jayden Daniels' agent's likes, so the likes on his tweets, here are the most recent likes. So obviously, there's this one that we were just talking about from Drake Maye MVP. I don't even know whose account that is. We kind of just read that one. But then it's also this one, which I thought was very interesting. How many companies do this? Plus, them around their peers. Bring players from the team along and see how they interact. How they interact with players they will never play with. This doesn't make sense to me. I mean, this is literally a Washington account saying, like, who the F cares how they interact with players that they're never going to play with? This doesn't make sense to me. Jayden Daniels' agent liked this tweet. I mean, to me, that is a very eye-popping thing in the regard of you have Jayden Daniels' agent liking a tweet about the idea of how crazy it is for the Commanders to bring in 4 quarterbacks at the exact same time. You add that to the already crazy timeline of everything that we have discussed on this show, that Jayden Daniels, and now it kind of sounds like his agent, doesn't like the Washington Commanders. And if you have never seen our timeline, routing this, well, don't worry. It's coming up here in just a second. But I do want to give a shout out to our Noti gang. And if you want to join our Noti gang, subscribe and turn on those notifications. I want you to be one of the very first people when I drop a video, you're down in the comments section. We got the king of the Noti gang, El Tiburon here. What up, Dave? What up, David? This show is all about family. If you believe Raider Nation is family, hit that subscribe button for a shout out here on the show. If you don't know what our Jayden and Commanders timeline is, it's this. There was a story that Adam Peters and Daniels did not quite get along back in 2022, 2023 when Brandon Ayuk, former teammate of Jayden Daniels, was introduced to Adam Peters, at the time assistant GM of the 49ers, and Peters apparently told Daniels that he's a 5th-round pick and his talent doesn't translate to the NFL. What's interesting about that is Jayden has never declined this. He has declined rumors that he doesn't like the Patriots. Then, from Evan Selva, somebody who was very well connected in the NFL, said that Jayden did not have good meetings dating back to the combine or pre-draft visits. Then there's another one where Jayden Daniels and Malik Neighbors are on Instagram Live, and Neighbors hints that Jayden is going to be joining one of his old homeboys, or homies, I believe is the exact word. I don't know if you know this, there are no players or coaches that have any ties or connections to the Washington Commanders. What's also interesting about this is some people were like, oh, well, maybe Brandon Ayuk's going to get traded to the Commanders. Jayden Daniels' agent has literally said that that's not happening, or that the Commanders haven't been a team that has been all that active in looking for Brandon Ayuk. Then, on top of all this, Jayden agent starts liking all the tweets that we just mentioned. Like, don't get me wrong, if one of these things were to happen and I make a show around it, I can understand people being like, yeah, I mean, it's one thing happened. Totally agree with you. But if you subscribe to the idea of where there is smoke, there is fire, this is a lot of smoke around the idea of maybe Jayden and his agent don't want him to go to the Commanders. And Jayden seems like a stand-up guy where he's not going to come out and say like, yeah, I don't want to go to the team picking number 2 overall. What if his agent's starting to throw out some stuff there? Because whether you think it's crazy or not, I bet you there are certain situations where players don't want to go to certain teams. Call me crazy. So here's my question to you. What are the chances Jayden Daniels falls to pick number 3? Scale it from 0 to 100. 0 being, you don't think there's any chance in hell. 100, there's a 100% chance that Jayden Daniels falls to pick 3. Coming up after this YouTube ad break, my answer. My answer is, by the end of this show, I promise you this. Whatever number that you're putting in, whether it's in the live chat, whether you're watching the show on a later date, whatever number that is, I bet by the time you get done watching the show, double it. Double it. Coming up, who Adam Peters' friend thinks the Washington Commanders are drafting. There's that old saying, you got to keep your friends close, your enemies closer, right? Here's the other part of that. I bet friends probably know what some of these GMs are doing more than what NFL insiders are. Why? Because in today's day and age, you got to be able to talk to somebody. And I'm going to believe Adam Peters' friend. Before we get into that, though, shout out to today's sponsor, 8 Sleep. And remember, go to 8sleep.com/chatsports. That link's going to be available to y'all down in the comments and down in the description of today's show. 8 Sleep's Pod 3 cover slips right over your mattress, bringing heating and cooling tech that keeps you comfortable and sleeping deeper for a better, more restful night. The pod cover will improve your sleep by automatically adjusting your bed's temperature based on your individual needs. The cover can be added to any bed like a fitted sheet and allows you and your partner to cool or warm your side of the bed as low as 55 degrees and up to 110. In addition to keeping you at the perfect temperature all night, the pod also tracks your sleep and health metrics. On average, pod users see their sleep quality improve by 32% after just a month on the pod. Go to 8sleep.com/chatsports and get $200 off plus free shipping on the pod cover by 8 Sleep. Invest in the rest you deserve with the 8 Sleep pod. Now, I know when I talk about this product, I've had people ask me like, Mitch, do you actually really, really like it? And I'm going to look at all you and tell you, yes, I do really like it. Like, sleep, it might be something that we don't talk about or really think about, but the impact on your body from a good night's sleep compared to a bad night's sleep, it's monumental. And my fiance, Alex, love her to death. She is a snuggler. My dog, Chuck, is literally like a heater. And if anybody out there allows their dog to sleep in the bed with them, I have no problem with it. My dad gives me shit for it. But, like, I do get warm very, very easily, even if I just sleep by myself. You add both of them together, and now I got my 8 Sleep pod to cool me off. Bottom line is, if that story resonates with you, the link's available for you down in the comments and down in the description of today's show. All right, y'all, so let's get into it. Coming up here, who Adam Peters' friend thinks the Washington Commanders are going to draft. Spoiler alert, he doesn't say Jayden Daniels. So on top of all the rumors that we just talked about, and then you got a good friend of Adam Peters saying he doesn't think that it's going to be Jayden Daniels. If you haven't seen this story, it's something around this. So we know all the stories around Jayden and his agent don't want Daniels to go to the Washington. That is the rumor that is circulating right now in NFL circles. An NFL draft expert by the name of Daniel Jeremiah, and I know when I say that you might be like, oh, Mitch, we're just talking about another NFL draft guy. No, Daniel Jeremiah and Adam Peters are very, very good friends. Like, it's not a normal relationship in terms of like, oh, this is just somebody who I work with or somebody who I met one time at an NFL thing. No, like, these guys are good friends, like somebody that you're going to tell the truth to. Jeremiah doesn't think that the Commanders are going to draft Jayden Daniels, and he even knows that he's one of the oddballs out and continues to stick with his prediction. And when you're in the seat that Daniel Jeremiah is in, knowing like when he does a mock draft, he bases it off of like things that he believes and he hears. And he still is somebody that wants to be credible and still says that Drake Maye is going to be going number 2 overall to the Washington Commanders. So my question to you is this. Who will the Commanders pick at number 2? Are you going to go still with Jayden Daniels? Are you going to go with somebody else that plays QB? Because I will say this, that the Commanders GM today, Peters, did say that they probably are going to keep the number 2 overall pick and that they're more than likely going to take a quarterback. I agree with that. Me personally, when I think of who the Commanders are going to take at number 2, if I was a betting man right now, I'd say number 1 is Drake Maye, number 2 is J.J. McCarthy, then coming in here at number 3 is going to be Jayden Daniels. But let's talk about Daniel Jeremiah here and who he thinks the Commanders draft. In terms of what they are going to do, honestly, I have known Washington General Manager Adam Peters forever. He's not going to say a word, and I think all of us are going to find out who they are picking once they get on the clock and turn the card there in Detroit. And talking to coaches and executives around the league, they're like overwhelmingly convinced around the league that this is Jayden Daniels. This is going to be the pick there at number 2. I like Jayden Daniels a lot. That seems to be the expectation from folks around the league. But again, I think anybody that says they know exactly what Washington is doing is lying, because I don't think Adam's saying a word. So essentially what Daniel Jeremiah is saying there is he's like, there's a lot of reports, there's a lot of speculation. And, you could even say that what Daniel's saying maybe is a little bit far-fetched. However, though, when you take 2 and 2 together, if you know one of your good friends, you're like, he's not going to tell anybody, right? Like, there are certain people that talk. There are other people that don't talk about that kind of stuff. And if he's saying, like, all right, all these insiders are acting like they know what's going to happen, he's saying that, like, no matter what, like, he's not going to believe it. So coming up, the quarterback that Daniel Jeremiah thinks the Commanders end up drafting. My next question is, are you guys in the friend zone? And if you're like, what the heck is the friend zone? The friend zone is every Wednesday. It's our Zoom call at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. Here's the name of the game. Only 15 people per week are going to be able to get in. Mitch, how exactly do I get in? Don't worry, I'll tell you how you get in our 15 people Zoom call. I do want to say, though, major shout out to everybody that tuned in yesterday. I have Buddy Bear, my man Carl Can't Walk, Jonathan, Ron Raspberry, 93, Navman, David Zahn. Man, we talked for probably a good hour yesterday. Had a hell of a time. And if you're wondering, Mitch, how do I get on the next Zoom call? Here's how you do it. The first 5 people to bang on Venmo, $100 Venmo, you're automatically in, okay? I'm also going to give away 5 entries from the duck races. So that means 5 free entries essentially to the duck race. And you know what? F it. We're going to give one away today. Whoever comes in last place of today's duck race, you're going to get in our Zoom call. Then we're also going to give away 5 free entries. So to the 5 people that bang, whoever spams their name the most, they get a free entry. The only way that I will add to the 15 list is if you hit the gong. So if we get 15 people and we have 15 names in our Zoom call and somebody rips that gong, number 16, we're adding it to the list. And it just can keep growing and growing if that's what you truly want. So if you want to join the friend zone, it's every Wednesday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern time on Zoom. I will send you all the details via email. That's why I need your Zoom info or your Venmo info, because that way I can just text you and comment to you on Venmo. All right, let's go to who Daniel Jeremiah thinks the Commanders end up drafting. I have been connected them to Drake Maye for a long time. It just felt like the fit there. I think about Dan Quinn going to a Super Bowl with Matt Ryan and what Matt Ryan was coming out. Strengths, weaknesses, and I thought it actually married up pretty well with Drake. So that has been my connection there. So you're telling me that we have seen rumors, we have seen things from Jayden Daniels, his agent, in the last 24 hours. Then, good friend of Adam Peters, Washington GM, is connecting Drake Maye, not Jayden Daniels, to this football team. My bottom line of this show is this. I get it. There's a lot of speculation. There's a lot of hearsay during this time of the year because the draft is a week away. But I do subscribe to the idea of where there's smoke, there's fire, right? If it smells like shit, there's probably shit laying around, is what my dad used to always say to me. But, like, this is one of those things that when you start adding all this stuff up, I don't think Jayden is a lock to go at number 2. In fact, I would say there is a 50% chance right now that Jayden ends up falling to pick number 3. And if you're watching this show live, you're going to be like, well, then Jayden's going to be at pick 3. We're still not going to get him. I promise you this. If you're watching our live show right now and you see the video that I put out on the latest trade rumors around the New England Patriots, you're going to go, all right, man, Jayden might actually land with the silver and black.